done for. Everyone get out.
Hello tanks and tankettes, welcome back to Armoured Warfare, and no, I had not forgotten this was a thing. They have actually, in this latter stage of the current test, they've made available a whole bunch of vehicles to basically everyone. They've put, I think, a lot of the tier 4s in people's garages because maybe just not enough people were playing the higher tier vehicles for them to have enough test data. They've also made available to try, and I don't know if it's just for people that had the Founders Pack, which I did have a code for, or if it's for everybody, but the Founders Pack vehicles are available for people now to try out, and also the regular premiums are as well. So I've basically, at the moment, if I look at the dealer screen, I have in my garage every single premium that is currently available, and some of them I haven't actually tried yet. There's actually like the Abbott, for instance, which is a tier 3 premium arty, and I've actually, now that I have some tier 4s available, I've played my first artillery games in the M109, so I might do a separate video about artillery now that I've played it a bit. But this one's all going to be about PvE, and I've actually picked out one of the tanks they've given me, which is the T64. And this is a tier 4 MBT, and it actually leads to the Chieftain. And as you can see, it's very... I don't even have anything unlocked on it yet. I've played 1 or 2 battles in it. Nothing is upgraded, so I've got basic AP and basic HE. I don't even have heat ammo yet. So what I'll do is I'll show this off in a PvE battle, and we're just going to go with a medium difficulty, more to do with queue times than anything else, because not a lot of people are queuing up for the hard difficulty. And the reason I'm picking an MBT in particular rather than one of the many premium tanks that I could be trying out is that from what I've played of the PvE mode, which I'm really enjoying so far actually, I think it's been a very good addition to the game. You need a good mix of vehicles. You need a couple of MBTs and the rest can either be AFVs or tank destroyers, but you need something with a bit of muscle in the mix, because if they're all very weak vehicles in terms of their armor, if they just take lots of damage and can't afford to mix it up a bit, then yeah, the matches don't tend to go so well because nobody can really afford to take many hits. And I have had PvE matches like that where everybody has gone with a light tank or an armoured fighting vehicle, and therefore we just get wiped out, even though it might not necessarily be on a very hard difficulty. The worst thing is people that take, and I say the worst like I'm being terribly judgmental, maybe they just want to try it out, but people that take artillery in PvE, arty is not a good fit for PvE at all. You're basically losing a tank in terms of damage capability, because arty doesn't do a lot of damage in this game, and arty can't really like arty one-on-one face-to-face with other vehicles will just die. So artillery is almost always a waste of time. So there's a little PSA for you. If you feel like trying out artillery, don't do it in PvE, because unless you're with a group of other people that you're chatting to on TeamSpeak or whatever, or that you've been playing with previously, and they don't mind you taking artillery, because you can basically form a platoon to just play PvE with your friends, which is another really nice feature of this game mode. But artillery just with a random group of people, it pretty much is just a waste of time. So we've got one person, yes that's a word, that either doesn't speak English or just doesn't know left from right, but generally you want to go as a group, and we've actually got 3 T64s and a Chieftain. So we've got a fair amount of muscle in this one. In fact, that isn't really going to be a problem. That AMX 10P is it's good that he's dead, because those things are quite dangerous. In fact, the 10P90, I should make that distinction rather than the regular AMX 10P. It's got a 90mm cannon, and it's a very nasty little machine. Although I did get lucky with the bounce there. Yeah, but I'm not quite sure why our LAV 300, unless this is literally his first game, I'm not sure why he's gone off on his own, because that usually does not go well. Oh, okay, apparently you can't drive through those. I'm still at the stage of I don't know what you can and can't drive through, because some obstacles you can, other obstacles, like these concrete barriers. Oh, there we go. So some of those you can't, but others you can. Let's see, that's BMP, not particularly dangerous. So on this particular map, I mean, it is a lot of familiar maps. You are trying to... Well, they all go the same way. Oops, didn't mean to click there. They basically all go the same way. You've got a primary objective, or in some cases primary objectives, and you've got secondary objectives. And there's also usually, surprise rock, some kind of challenge as well, and sometimes it's a randomly generated one. In fact, it does seem to be quite a lot of the time a randomly generated one. So this one, it's complete the mission without being tracked, and I guess that gets me extra money or credits, or XP rather. But secondaries are usually like trucks you've got to destroy, or containers, or whatever. And they vary in number. And the primary, well, in this case, it is a zone that we have to capture, but it's right in the middle of the runway. So it's pretty open. So I don't think I can actually... No, it'd be cool if you could just like drive through the back of the hangars. I do like the hangar design on this map. It's not a bad looking game at all overall. I mean, it's nothing particularly flashy, but this is ultimately going to be a free-to-play game. But you compare this right out the gate with... I mean, World of Tanks is looking pretty good itself these days, but World of Tanks, compared to how it used to look, has come on a hell of a long way, and they've had to put in a hell of a lot of work. But, of course, I suspect Obsidian is maybe going for a slightly different market, and that, well, we'll see if that helps them or hurts them. Because World of Tanks, well, Wargaming, are probably a lot more familiar with the kind of Russian and former Soviet bloc countries, because that is where they started. That's been their primary focus. So there's an AI artillery. Yes, the AI does get arty. The AI actually also is, yeah, it is quite effective. I mean, sometimes it's a bit derpy, but this whole thing is still very much a work in progress. Even World of Tanks, a game that has been out for, you know, a while now, is still a work in progress. But it, on the whole, it is actually quite challenging. Although the challenge, the level of challenge between different maps is actually a bit variable. And I have actually completed some hard difficulty PvE missions, but I don't know, it's even on this particular mode, it can still be a challenge. And I have actually lost, and it's a minority of games, but I have actually lost PvE missions, even just playing with random people. So it's been pretty good on the whole that they've actually managed to come up with a game mode where even playing with random people, you win most of the time. And this is, I would say, you know, you maybe want to do a couple of easy mode ones if you're playing this. Oh, hello. There's a bunch of tanks on the flank. Just try and get some cover between me and them. You really shouldn't need to do more than a couple of easy difficulty ones. Those things are nasty if they hit you, even frontally, before you get the hang of it. And at that point, I would say do medium difficulty. And if you're feeling really brave, you can try queuing up for the hard difficulty, although it is a little bit like War Thunder queue times when you do that. So let's just work these guys over. These beep boop bop bops. They're actually beep boop bop bops. What? I meant to say bots, and somehow it turned into, I don't even know. I turned into being 5 years old. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. I don't know. That's the perils of recording live. Is my mouth just takes on a mind of its own, and then we get moments like that. And Caption Guy has his fun with them. Anyway, stage 1 complete. They're all 3 stages long, and I don't know if that's something that might change in the future. I mean, that would be interesting if you did harder difficulties, and not just that the bots were harder, but and we could have actually gotten that last secondary objective. I don't know why nobody else went for it, but anyway, never mind. But harder campaigns would be longer as well. That might be something that we'd be thinking about doing. I think that would be interesting. But we'll see. This is actually my second time trying to record this. Unfortunately, the game, it didn't crash. It kind of just hung in the loading screen between missions. And that's pretty rare, actually. So far, this game has been pretty stable. Considering that it is still... You know, this is basically a playable alpha. This is... what are they calling this? The Early Access Test 3? So it's in a pretty decent state considering, and the fact that we already have features with this third access test like PvE in the game already. I mean, World of Tanks have been talking about having PvE for over a year, and it's been in the context of reviving historical battles, because the first attempts at doing historical battles didn't really work out, unfortunately, and it was always a tougher thing that trying to match up like Tigers with T-34s. Nobody's really going to want to play the T-34s, so yeah, having that be a PvE mode would make sense, because you then don't have any of those queue time problems, you don't have the balancing problems. And I think that's one of the things where also Gaijin have had to come up with some maybe not 100% satisfactory solutions, because of course their game is, or has been, a lot more historically focused in terms of what vehicles are actually in the game, and generally speaking vehicles in War Thunder get their actual historical guns, although maybe not in 100% of cases. I don't know War Thunder enough to know, but that's meant that they've had to do things like the BR system, and I think they're actually dropping vehicle tiers entirely. I seem to remember reading that somewhere. And it's kind of like vehicle tiers, I mean, I suppose you could really, though the only real purpose they serve is to indicate chronologically when some vehicles were actually, you know, which vehicles came after others. And in terms of BR, they don't sometimes match up at all. Like I haven't played a lot of War Thunder, but like 105mm Sherman has a way higher BR for where it is on the tiers compared to the other kind of tier 2 vehicles. It's actually one of the initial tier 2 vehicles that you can unlock, and then it's got a BR that's like 4 point something in comparison. So yeah. So, I don't know, I guess it would make sense, but that's always been their kind of, like, they made that particular design choice, and then I think they've struggled to find satisfactory ways to implement it. So, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I do like to at least keep half an eye on War Thunder, even if I don't play it that much. Ooh. This guy's just, oh, neutral destroyed. Well, no actual damage, but... not that reduced view range is really going to matter at this particular distance. Now I guess to target like this, heat ammo would be actually really useful, because if you hit pen with heat ammo, the AP's got the most pen, or well, APDS or whatever the particular variety of armor piercing ammo is. I think in this case it's AP. This is APFSDS, apparently. But generally higher pen but lower damage, and if you actually overmatch, that affects how much damage you do. If you hit areas like commander's hatches, that does less damage, so the damage is different based on where you hit. And that actually is an idea that is in World of Warships as well to some extent. So I think that that's more of an interesting way of doing it than World of Tanks' kind of all or nothing approach. At least in terms of penetrating hits. So, yeah, the kind of ammo you pick does make a great deal of difference. And if you can use heat, then you should, because heat generally, when it pens, will do more damage. but he will be stopped by stuff like reactive armor, for instance. And some tanks actually already come with reactive armor, especially high up the tech tree. But I suspect later on with the whole retrofits system, where you can basically have different like versions of vehicles, so export versions of tanks, for instance, or modernized versions of tanks, you'll see ERA coming onto tanks probably a lot more through that particular medium, however you want to call it. But yeah, so heat isn't always the right answer, but generally speaking, heat is a lot more useful in a lot of cases. So this was mission 2 of 3. Deal at least 8,000 damage. Yeah, no, I was nowhere near close to that. But I suspect that some of those goals, the challenges it gives you, do seem to be a little on the unrealistic side. I don't know. I very rarely manage to actually complete one of the challenges, so yeah, maybe they'll rebalance those. They might just be like placeholders, who knows. But as you can see, actually the LAV 300, who has been, I'm about middle of the pack, sort of about where everyone else is, but that LAV 300 has been doing way more. But this is why you need that mix, because you get the tank destroyers, especially with the very big guns at the higher tiers, or the very high damaging guns at the higher tiers, but they've got no armor to speak of, so they can't mix it up with enemy tanks in the same way that MBTs can. So you really do need a mix of vehicles. And it's just a little bit frustrating when you see someone bringing an artillery into PvE, because it does not fit at all with PvE. Maybe they'll find some way of doing it, or maybe they should just like not let people take artillery into PvE. I don't know. But anyway, so this is I think this is a map that you only get with PvE, I think. Not sure. But oh, hello, spawn behind us. So yeah, basically we are destroying SAM sites and blowing up tanks, and it's the usual thing. So you just fight your way through to the objective, and sometimes, like, the secondary objective locations can move around. So this one over here, for instance, if you were playing on a harder difficulty, oh hello, you might not necessarily want to go after all the secondaries, because it might actually end up being a very bad line indeed. Because you might have tanks running off and dying where no one can help them, and that would be a bad thing. So this particular one, I think all of them so far we've had actually have been base capture points. There is at least one where you actually have to defend a pair of, in fact 3 points, and as you defend the first, once you've defended the first one, you then move up, go defend the second one, and so on and so forth. So it's not just about capture points, it's about did I manage to shoot off his binoculars or something there? Anyway, I really wish I had heat for that guy, that'd be useful. But yeah, at the moment there's just not a huge amount of variety, but they're just testing out the mechanics, they're testing out AI, they're testing out how various vehicles do with this particular game mode. So the fact that it's not a hugely varied set of maps and missions to go with, I'm fine with that. Whoa, hello, that was a tank destroyer. Right. Yeah, it's one of those. Oh, those AMX-10Ps are just so annoying. Wow, I'm getting owned by that guy. Yeah, the guns on those things, actually, I think that's one of the things where they might need to balance them, because even if you're in a relatively strong vehicle, apparently those have really high pen, or they just, I don't know, they just do a lot of damage even to, I've done PvE in like tier 6 vehicles, and even then the AMX 10P90s are very, very nasty machines to encounter. You do not want to come across one of those unexpectedly. And that was me having lost most of my health all at once due to one AMX 10P90, so yeah, and I think that one's a premium. I think they might have to fiddle with that one a bit, because that could be, and of course it's fragile, but yeah, that could be a problem. So that's an M60A3. I think that's just oh, an M60 pattern. That's not a Starship at all. Have I lost silhouettes? Is that's what? Yeah, I have. I've lost silhouettes. That is a particular bug at the moment in this particular game mode that is a bit annoying because it can just basically randomly happen at any time. Is that actually a bot, or is that somebody that's actually called just Samantha? Apparently it is. Usually you get a name like that and it's a bot, but no, you don't get bots on the allied team, I don't think. I've lost my train of thought now. Anyway, never mind. It probably wasn't important. I'll probably facepalm later when I'm editing it all together. But, you know, I never do get away with the smooth saves because Caption Guy's always there to point out, damn him, when I do make those gaffes. Also, listen to the sound of that's just a nice touch. Like, the more knackered your tank gets, you start to sound like you've got a bag full of spanners rattling around in the engine or something, I don't know. Right, BMP, that's not particularly a problem. But, yeah, no, that particular bug is a little bit annoying. I mean, it's... especially if it happens mid-match and you suddenly... you think you've still got silhouettes and you don't realise you've got a shot. That's it, there, I've got a silhouette. So I really don't know what's going on, why I didn't get a silhouette earlier. Unless it was being blocked by a fence or something? I don't know, there's a few little things like that at the moment, but... this game is still, you know, this is... I mean... yeah, this game is in development, and World of Tanks, after how many years, is still really in development. So these games are, you know, this kind of MMO, kind of multiplayer, online, these kind of games are never really, truly finished, done. Because if they ever get to a stage where the developer goes, right, we're finished, it's complete, then... yeah, that's usually a bad thing, because everybody that has been playing it for ages and ages goes, oh, there's going to be no new content, and they go off to pastures new. So, but yeah, this is definitely at a much earlier stage of development, because hey, it's playable alpha, so of course it is. So there we go. I think we'll be popping back to Garage in a second, and we can see actually what the results screen is like. Typically, these PvE, what do you want to call them, mini campaigns? I don't know, they seem to take about 20-25 minutes, so it's not too long, a little bit longer than a standard match, but yeah, it's not too bad. And the results you get are, if we actually have a look, that wasn't too bad actually in terms of credits I got out of it, in terms of the XP, so I can probably put a few upgrades on this machine actually. At the very least, get more kinds of ammo. So we'll get better AP, we'll unlock the heat ammo, which actually involved... yeah, no, I don't have enough for anything else now, but I have at least some kind of heat ammo, so we'll actually dump that in there, and then I've HE in the last slot. And I don't know why I'm doing this all on camera, but hey, whatever. So there we go, that was PvE mode, and I think it's a very nice addition to the game. I think it means that even if you don't necessarily want to play PvP, but you still feel like playing tanks, this game has got that alternative option for you. And it's nice being able to especially jump into, like if I was to... how do I create a... no, not a battalion. I don't know. However you create a platoon. You can create a platoon for enough people to fill out a PvE mission. Because normally it's platoons of 3, but for PvE you can have up to 5 people. So you can get together with a group of friends and do it. And I think it's something that World of Tanks in particular is missing. Because it's kind of like you're playing against other people or nothing. Whereas this... If you don't like MMOs, if you just want to play cooperatively, then you can do that. You could only ever do PvE missions. Or if you just fancied a break from playing against other people. Again, you've got that option. So yeah, it's a very welcome addition. I think it's in a bit of an early state, but it's looking pretty promising. And for the most part, I wish World of Tanks had something like this, you know? It'd be pretty good. I mean, hell, even World of Warships does. Although it's probably a little bit easier to program bots for something like World of Warships. But anyway, whatever. So if you enjoyed this video, you can leave a comment below pointing out any obvious dumb mistakes I may have made. It's entirely possible. You can hit the like button. You can subscribe to my channel. And as always, stay tuned for more.